My life changed dramatically 3 years ago when I started living with my grandson Kevin after my son's divorce. I still remember that day clearly. On a rainy April evening, my son David suddenly visited my house. "Mom, I'm getting divorced." When I think about Kevin, as he struggled to get the words out, I couldn't help but see him as the little boy he once was. Since losing my husband 5 years ago, my life had been focused solely on work. But that evening marked the beginning of a significant change. I'm Martha Anderson, living in the Maple Grove area, a suburb of Minneapolis, Minnesota. For 35 years, I've been involved in community healthcare as the pharmacy department manager at Target. My days start at 7 a.m., filled with checking prescriptions, managing inventory, and supervising staff. With retirement coming next month, I'm now focusing on training my young successor. At 65, with my graying hair becoming more noticeable, I never imagined I'd be raising my grandson at this age. Our home is a white 2-story house, built 25 years ago. It's the house my husband Robert chose, saying, "Let's raise our family here." 2 maple trees that he planted in front of the entrance have grown magnificently, turning beautiful colors in autumn. The spacious backyard now features Kevin's baseball practice net, and on weekends, it echoes with the voices of neighborhood children. Next door lives the Wilson family, and their son Tommy is Kevin's best friend. Across the street, the retired teachers Mr. and Mrs. Johnson often treat the children to homemade cookies. This neighborhood has many children of the same age, and the morning scene of kids waiting for the school bus looks just like something out of a movie. Kevin is an 8-year-old baseball player in the Minneapolis Little League. With his father's brown eyes and black hair, along with his cheerful personality, he's popular at school. He serves as vice president of his 3rd grade class, and teachers praise him for being responsible. Nothing makes me happier as a grandmother than when he declares my homemade macaroni and cheese the best in the world. My son David works as a site supervisor at Anderson Construction. His meticulous and serious nature hasn't changed since childhood, but lately, I've been concerned about his late returns home and increased business trips. He only explains his divorce from 3 years ago as work-related issues, and still won't discuss the details. Sometimes I catch him checking his phone late at night, but I avoid asking about it. On an ordinary Saturday, I went to watch Kevin's Little League game as usual. Parents gathered at the baseball field along Theodore Wirth Parkway. As Kevin stepped up to bat in the pleasant autumn breeze, surrounded by maple trees beginning to change color. "Go, Kevin!" Responding to my cheer, Kevin hit a beautiful single to right field. In his 4th at-bat, with a runner on second base, he got his 2nd RBI hit of the season, contributing to the team's victory. After the game, while chatting with other team mothers, I overheard some concerning conversation. "David seems different lately. Come to think of it, his car was out late last week too. I heard there are some rumors about that construction company." Though worried, I didn't dwell on it at the time. At 6 p.m., after returning home, I make Kevin's favorite macaroni and cheese as usual. My special recipe includes Kraft Special Cheese Sauce with a secret touch of powdered Parmesan. I also set out fresh salad I bought at Target yesterday. "Grandma, I got hits today." I saw them. They were wonderful hits. While helping with homework, I listened to Kevin's excited voice. Dad said he's coming home early today. At 8 p.m., David returns. Glad there wasn't much overtime today. Dad, I got 2 hits today. That's my boy. Well done. I could see my son smile despite his tired appearance. Before taking a sleepy Kevin to his room upstairs. Good night, Grandma. I love you. My grandson's words fill my heart with warmth. Watching Kevin's sleeping face, I felt grateful for these peaceful days. Little did I know that an event that would drastically change our family's life was waiting for us that night. At 11 p.m., I was in my second-floor room preparing for tomorrow's church service. Going to Methodist church with Kevin on Sundays has become our routine these past 3 years. While choosing clothes from my closet for tomorrow, I smiled naturally, remembering today's baseball game. Outside the window, autumn winds rustled the maple trees beginning to change color, and in the distance, someone's dog occasionally barked. In the quiet house, a dim nightlight glowed from Kevin's room. In my son's study, the desk lamp was still on. David seemed to be poring over work documents again. Suddenly, breaking the quiet, the doorbell rang. At this hour, while descending the stairs, I notice an ominous light illuminating the entrance. Red and blue lights alternately color the room. Through the curtains, police vehicle lights cast eerie shadows on the walls. Though the sirens are silent, porch lights begin turning on in neighboring houses. Opening the door, the cold autumn night air rushes in. The damp air seemed to carry a premonition of something serious. 2 police officers stood there. The female officer was in her mid-30s, with refined features but a stern expression. The male officer appeared to be in his 50s, his graying hair and worn uniform speaking to years of experience. "Are you Mrs. Anderson?" The female officer addresses me in a quiet but firm voice. Her police badge reflects in the porch light. "Yes, I am." My voice rises slightly with tension. "This is about your grandson, Kevin Anderson." My heart seemed to stop for a moment. My throat suddenly feels dry, and cold sweat breaks out on my palms. "What?" "Kevin is sleeping upstairs." The male officer sighs deeply at my shaky voice. His expression showed reluctance to reveal the serious facts they must convey. "About 30 minutes ago, at Riverside Park, we discovered the body of a boy who appears to be your grandson." My mind went blank. Feeling unsteady, I instinctively grabbed the entrance pillar for support. My heart begins pounding rapidly. "But he's..." As I protest with a trembling voice, the female officer presents a photograph. Slowly pulled from her uniform's chest pocket, the evidence photo. Even in the dim light, the boy in the photo was clearly visible. The same navy blue hoodie as Kevin's, similar hair color, and features so alike. No, this child. Words won't come out. Feeling sensation leaving my limbs, I suddenly rush upstairs. My feet are unsteady. The family photos on the wall appear to blur. Bursting into Kevin's second-floor room, there he was, breathing peacefully in sleep. Under the wall adorned with Minnesota Twins posters, beside scattered textbooks, his baseball trophy gleams in the moonlight as he sleeps with his usual peaceful expression. "Kevin!" I couldn't help but call out loudly. Kevin wakes with a start. Grandma, what's wrong? Seeing my grandson's confused face as he rubs his eyes, I feel relief but also mounting anxiety. Then, I hear David's voice from downstairs. He seems to have come out from his study where he was checking work documents. His face shows fatigue in the desk lamp's light. Mom? What's wrong? David, unaware of the conversation downstairs, climbs the stairs with a puzzled expression. His usually neat shirt is strangely wrinkled today. Back downstairs, the police officers began an even more shocking explanation. The male officer takes out a notebook and reads the facts matter-of-factly. The estimated time of death for the discovered boy is around 6 p.m. The location was near Anderson Construction. The driver, Marie Collins, is in critical condition. She's been transported to Memorial Hospital. The victim was wearing clothes similar to your Kevin's. Then came the decisive statement. The female officer produces an evidence bag. David Anderson's business card was found at the scene. My gaze turns to my son, standing frozen on the stairs. Even in the dim light, I could clearly see David's face turning pale in the moonlight. His hands are visibly trembling. And in his eyes, I saw an emotion I'd never seen before. David left for the police station with the officers, leaving Kevin and me at home. The clock is approaching midnight. On the living room sofa, Kevin, unable to sleep, dozes wrapped in a blanket beside me. On the table, half-drunk cocoa has gone cold. Though usually not allowed at this hour, tonight is special. Only the ticking of the old grandfather clock echoes in the silent house. Outside, the cold autumn wind blows, and maple leaves scratch against the windows. Occasionally, police sirens sound in the distance, and each time I feel Kevin shiver slightly. Grandma, is Dad okay? Kevin's voice, looking up at me with worried eyes, is smaller and shakier than usual. The solemn atmosphere when the police arrived must be weighing heavily on his young heart. The family photos on the wall silently watch over this unusual night. In the interrogation room at Minneapolis Police Department 3rd Precinct. The midnight interview room is lit only by fluorescent lights. The aging white walls show fine cracks, with "Interrogation Room" written starkly in black. A square table, metal chairs, and street lights visible through a small window. A surveillance camera blinks red in the corner, heightening the tension. David kept checking his phone in that room. The screen shows unread message notifications from Marie. The last message displays a reply saying, "I'll be a bit late." Each time he looks at it, his hands tremble slightly, and fine sweat appears on his forehead. The air conditioning makes that sweat feel cold. David Anderson, site supervisor at Anderson Construction. A middle-aged detective begins in a slow tone. Beside him in a gray suit, a young female detective takes notes. In the corner, a uniformed officer stands with arms crossed. "What is your relationship with Marie Collins?" At those words, David's face momentarily tensed. His hands visibly shake as he grips the coffee cup. Meanwhile, the accident scene investigation continued late into the night. Along Minnehaha Creek on River Parkway. In this place usually bustling with families, only street lights illuminate the river surface. Marie Collins's red Ford Focus had stopped, caught between a severely bent guardrail and a utility pole. The car's front was heavily deformed, the passenger side completely crushed. Forensics camera flashes irregularly illuminate the accident vehicle. Uniformed officers keep onlookers away from the yellow tape-enclosed scene. Local Care 11 and WCCO TV news crews were preparing for live broadcasts. Estimated time of death around 6 p.m. Victim was an 8-year-old boy, died instantly. Driver Marie Collins, 35, in critical condition, transported to North Memorial Health. The scene supervisor reports this over the radio. Just before dawn, we finally received a call from David. His voice on the receiver sounded so exhausted, I could hardly recognize it as my son's. The landline's ring echoes ominously in the silence. "Mom. I'll tell you everything. Can you come to the station?" My son's voice over the late-night phone sounded weak, as if he'd reverted to being a young boy. Leaving sleeping Kevin on the sofa, I inform our neighbors, the Johnsons, of my sudden departure. They're wonderful neighbors who often help watch my grandson. In the car to Minneapolis Police Department, I remembered the divorce 3 years ago. The sudden declaration of separation. The formal reasons. How my son had changed since then. The nighttime Minneapolis cityscape quietly passes by the car window. At the station, David was waiting in a small interrogation room. Under the fluorescent lights, my son looked more exhausted than usual. Dark circles under his eyes, his usually neat shirt completely wrinkled. Several cold coffee cups lined the table. 8 years ago, before Kevin was born, David began speaking with a trembling voice. Only the faint flicker of fluorescent lights echoed in the heavy air. At a construction site safety management training at St. Paul Convention Center. Marie was delivering her lecture confidently in front of about 50 participants in the large conference room. She was the main instructor, and David says he still vividly remembers her passionate teaching about construction site safety. It started with just a simple question. Casual conversation during coffee break. From construction management topics to gradually more personal matters. Over the 3 days of training, their conversations naturally increased. The relationship lasted about 6 months. Then, she became pregnant. David's voice breaks. The interrogation room's atmosphere felt even heavier. But I didn't know then. She didn't tell anyone, alone. Marie returned to her hometown of Chicago without telling anyone about the pregnancy, and gave birth there. Her son was born the same week as Kevin, coincidentally. He says the boy looked identical to Kevin now. Last month, she suddenly contacted me. My son takes a deep breath. He closes his eyes, choosing his words as if tracing the memory. She said, "There's someone I want you to meet." I was shocked when I met him. A boy who looked just like Kevin. After that, David began secretly meeting Marie's son. Buying the same clothes as Kevin's at Mall of America, giving him the same Wilson baseball glove. But all this was kept secret from Kevin. Sometimes saying he'd be home early, he was making time to spend with his other son. Today too. I had promised to meet after work. But when I said I'd be late due to a sudden site change, they were waiting for me. At that intersection. Just as David's voice trailed off, the interrogation room door burst open. A young officer rushed in breathlessly. His expression showed clear tension. Marie Collins has regained consciousness. Outside the intensive care unit at North Memorial Health. The early morning hospital was filled with quiet air. Outside the window, dawn was barely breaking, and maple trees beginning to change color were shrouded in morning mist. From the high-floor waiting room, Minneapolis's cityscape spread out before us. Visits are limited to one person at a time, 5 minutes maximum. The nurse in white quietly announces. In the waiting room, David and I exchange glances. My son must have spent all night in these hard chairs. His shirt is completely wrinkled, with dark circles under his eyes. Mom, you go first. The white-based intensive care unit. The mechanical sound of medical equipment echoes regularly. Marie lying in bed was different from what I had imagined. Her delicate body wrapped in bandages, receiving 4 drips, taking shallow breaths. Mrs. Anderson. Marie opened her eyes with a hoarse voice. I'm sorry for meeting like this. At that moment, I felt something crumbling inside me. The person before me wasn't a woman who seduced my son or destroyed our family. She was a mother who raised a child alone, and then lost him. He loved baseball. Marie continues speaking through tears. He was gentle like David. The morning sun streaming through the hospital window illuminates the tears rolling down her cheeks. Only the sound of the heart monitor echoes in the quiet room. Every Saturday, we watched Kevin's games from afar. They both had the same batting form. The oxygen mask fogs up more with each word. Since my son learned about his father's existence, he wanted to meet his brother. Yesterday too, while waiting for David, he said, I want to play baseball with my brother. I found myself holding Marie's hand. Gently transferring warmth to her cold hand. Mrs. Anderson, call me Marty. Marty, will you remember my son? In the sunlit hospital room, 2 mothers quietly shed tears. At that moment, I had made my decision. To accept her as new family. That afternoon, we held a family meeting. David sat on the living room sofa, head down like a boy awaiting judgment. How can I explain this? David's voice trembled. Honestly, tell everything. At my words, my son gives a small nod. The next Sunday, after returning from church, we decided to tell Kevin the truth. In the living room bathed in autumn sunlight, the 3 of us face each other. On the table lay the photo of her son that Marie had treasured. Kevin, we need to talk. I sit next to my grandson and gently put my arm around his shoulders. You had a brother. Kevin's large eyes look at us. He loved baseball just like you. We explained everything carefully, one step at a time. David occasionally added details. Actually, Dad was secretly meeting your brother. I see. Kevin whispered, as if understanding. The following week, we stood before a small grave. In a quiet corner of Minneapolis Lakewood Cemetery. The sky was clear blue, and autumn-colored trees swayed gently in the wind. Kevin placed his precious glove before the grave. This is my special glove, but since I couldn't promise to play baseball together, please keep it with you. Marie sat in her wheelchair, quietly praying, while David placed his hand on his son's shoulder. 6 months have passed since then. Our lives have slowly begun to take a new shape. Every Sunday after church, visiting Marie has become our routine. Though confined to a wheelchair, she's gradually regaining her bright smile. In our living room, a new family photo has been added. It was taken after one of Kevin's baseball games. Marie is there too, in her wheelchair, everyone showing their smiles. Next to it is a photo of her son in heaven. "Grandma," Kevin said one day, looking up at the photos. "Was my brother as good at baseball as me?" "Yes, just like you. I'll do my best in the next game, for my brother too." Marie now comes to watch Kevin's games on weekends between her rehabilitation sessions. Even his ex-wife, who initially kept her distance, has slowly begun to show understanding. And now, we're looking for a new house. A barrier-free home where we can live together with Marie. A story that began with tragedy is transforming into a bond of a new family. Though sometimes hurting and struggling, we've begun walking forward. In the evening, watching Kevin and David playing catch in the backyard, I sometimes think, life may take unexpected turns, but through forgiveness and supporting each other, new paths will always open up. Surely in heaven, my other grandson is playing baseball too. When he's reborn, I hope we can all play baseball together.